Hi everybody, it's Kara, and I wanted to share this simple little project that I had done using some of my favorite cat Scrappiness goodness, which is this little rolled rose. It's my favorite from Cat. I absolutely love it. And I had bought, I don't know, a while back, a few of these paper mache hearts. They actually are normally, you know, the craft color. I've put a little bit of silver paint on this one to kind of prep it for what I'm going to do. This one I had painted white first. It just kind of depends on the look that you want. And I've used tissue paper for several different kinds of projects on paper mache like this and on composition books when I'm altering it. And I always get a few questions on how I do it. So I thought I would just kind of use this little heart as an example and show you guys what I typically do. Obviously this project is a smaller one, so it's going to be slightly different than what I do when I'm altering a large-sized composition notebook. But the technique's, you know, pretty similar. The big thing that you want to do is prep whatever you're using ahead of time, because typically, unless you're going to put a lot of layers of your tissue paper on, you're going to see some of the color through. And especially when I do it, because I always sand mine afterwards, I like it to be kind of distressed looking. So there's always going to be little bits of basically the underneath part showing through. So I typically paint mine. A lot of times when I'm using my other favorite tissue paper, which this is Tim Holtz tissue wrap, and it's a little thicker than normal tissue paper. The other tissue paper that I really like is Some by 7 Gypsies. They have quite a few different patterns, and their tissue paper is like traditional tissue paper. It's very, very thin. And what happens with that is that you get a lot of the color kind of coming through the tissue paper if you just do, you know, one layer of the tissue paper, which is what I like to do. I like to kind of have that vintage look to it. With this particular material, this tissue wrap from Tim Holtz, you're not as likely to see the underneath through it because it's a thicker material. So that's not as big of an issue, but I do like to still paint the underside because, like I said, I'm going to distress it up and I'm going to sand everything down, and you're going to see bits and pieces poking through. So for smaller projects, when I'm using tissue paper or tissue wrap, all I really do is take a piece and I just rip it into sections. Super simple. I don't worry about the exact size because I'm going for kind of a distressed look to it. I keep them relatively small, and I do them in different sizes. And you can also distress the tissue paper ahead of time if you want to. That's up to you. That's another look that you can use with this tissue paper. Then, depending on the surface and how much I'm going to be covering, I use one of two liquid adhesives. I use the Scotch Quick Dry adhesive if it's a small project like this, because this stuff does dry really, really fast. Or I also use oftentimes the oh my gosh, Glossy Accents, because I like the way that holds. So if you're using Scotch Quick Dry, I typically just do little areas at a time, and I just, you know, kind of put a little bit on here. I'm going to use the paper itself to kind of move it around and get a good coating on there, and then just start layering it up the way I want it. And I don't worry if I don't cover it all, because I'm going to come back in with more paper and more glue. And so then I just start doing this, like I said, using everything that I have here. Pretty simple, but you do need to move kind of quickly when you're using this stuff. You can see I am overlapping some of the sides on this because I'm going to be gluing this down too. And when I'm using tissue paper, I typically don't mind if I get a little bit of wrinkling. That's part of what I'm looking for. And then I just keep doing this, the different areas, basically until it's covered. And if I need to go back in and, you know, re-glue a few places down, I will. It doesn't normally take a whole heck of a lot to get this covered. It's pretty fast. I don't want this part to take too terribly long because, you know, the fun is in decorating whatever you're covering with the tissue paper. Get all that down there. And like I said, I do it until I get the whole surface covered. It's pretty simple, as you can see, not spending a ton of time on any of the sections. And like I said, this glue does dry quickly. This part obviously needs a little bit more. And if you have a brayer or something like that, you can always, you know, roll it on top to make sure all the pieces are stuck down. I'm just going to kind of rub it on the mat a little bit. And so there's one side already covered. And then basically you just do the same thing on the other side. Pretty simple. And then start bending these down. And I literally just put the glue, you know, right here on the edge. Same simple thing. And start bending it over. And normally I have enough overlap from both sides to cover. So once all of that's done on both sides, I'm going to let it dry for just a little while. Not too terribly long because, like I said, the Scotch Quick Dry is really fast, but I don't want it to really be wet anymore at all with the glue, because the next step would be the sanding and the distressing. Okay, and you can see I'm just folding it down like so. So once I get all of this, then I'm going to let it, like I said, dry for, I don't know, maybe a half an hour or so, not too terribly long. And then I take my sanding tools and I just basically sanded off all the edges. I sanded on top here just to smooth out a little bit of the wrinkling, not all of it, because like I said, I do like that look quite a bit. And then I did the back, and you know, I rubbed quite a bit off in a few sections so you could see the underneath. And then once I was done with that, I sprayed on a little bit of Lindy's Stamking in a red and added, you know, some bling and the really cute cat Scrappiness embellishment, a few stick pins that I had been given, and there you go. I think eventually I'm going to be sending this off to a friend, and I will probably put a small sentiment right here. I'm just not sure which one it's going to be yet. So hopefully that showed you guys how simple it is to apply tissue paper to a variety of projects, and you guys will give it a try soon. If you have any questions, leave them down below, and as always, guys, thanks so much for watching, and I hope you're having a great day wherever you're at. Bye!